Welcome to Cross the Line, Oxford's premier podcast.
Welcome to the Cross the Line pregame show. I'm Henry Heineman.
I'm Ross Schaus.
And we're here with head coach of the Chargers, Chris Cutcliffe. And Coach, thanks for being on with us.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me.
So last week the Chargers handled Desoto Central in the Jamboree 48-14. And Coach, when you look back at that game, do you see anything that excites you for the upcoming season?
Well, I think in a Jamboree it was really good to see us play clean in all three phases. There weren't a lot of that kind of early season mistakes you see sometimes. And so I just thought playing clean and playing with a lot of energy and a lot of effort in all three phases I thought was really good to see.
So we saw a glimpse of how explosive our offense can be in the Jamboree. So what do you think the key is to continuing to stay so good offensively, not only for this Brandon game, but for the rest of the season?
Well, I think first and foremost, we took care of the football in the Jamboree, and that's crucial anytime. But again, early in the season, great to see. And we were able to make big plays when they were there to be made. But, part of that was staying ahead of the chains. We make a big deal about the first play of a drive, how productive you are on first down. And so if you look at the series where we were able to score, normally was, we normally had a good productive first down play. And if we started off behind the chains, drive stalled out. So I think that's always key.
So last week we talked a little bit about how deep the receiving room is and how many receivers we have that could play on the varsity level. I think you named 8 guys who could be taking varsity snaps. So did the Jamboree kind of help you to figure out who will be taking those snaps and who will be taking the snaps for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think. That's always something we're evaluating. I think at any position there's always competition. There's always movement on a depth chart. But I thought we had a lot of guys play well. Obviously Cash Showers with 2 touchdown catches. Ashton Shorter had a big touchdown catch to start the game off, and Zay Lewis had the kickoff return for a touchdown. So, all three of those guys had big games, but a lot of guys played really well. And also, I think the catches are the things, obviously, that show up on a stat sheet, but we're evaluating how they play without the football, what they do in the blocking, aspect of their game, a lot of different things. So we had a lot of guys play well.
And it's been raining all week in Brandon. And how does that change really the game plan and preparation for a road game like this?
Well, we're playing on a turf field, so it really doesn't affect the conditions very much. It's not forecasted to be raining during the game, and so obviously I know they have had a lot of rain, a lot of flooding in the area, but I really don't see it having much of an impact on the game.
Let's talk about Brandon's offense a little bit. Brandon's a very explosive offensively. They're returning 8 offensive starters from last year, including junior quarterback Landon Barnes. They have a very deep running back room with Nate Blunt, Jarvis Durr, both from last year, both juniors. They'll be seniors this year. And then Quincy Phillips, MRA transfer, who came in for this season. Blunt and Durr combined for 2,500 yards and 33 touchdowns a year ago. And they got a wide receiver in Lester Miller, who's very explosive. He's committed to Akron. So what is it going to take from the defensive unit to shut those guys down?
Yeah, Brandon's a huge challenge. Their offense, is very talented. I think it starts with the offensive line. They're always one of the biggest and best offensive lines that we'll face each year. Coach Williams does a great job with what they do offensively. They play with a lot of tempo. And you mentioned they have a lot of different guys that can get the football. I think they have a lot of playmakers, and so we have to be very sound defensively. There's not one person that you can key in on that we want to take away this one person. When you play somebody that's as balanced as Brandon is offensively, it's definitely a challenge.
And Brandon was a team that was 1 touchdown away from being a state champion last year. So how do you tell your players to treat this game like every other game and not, get in 2 over their heads?
Well, I think part of the nature of being in 6A and playing in the region we play in is we play big games, week after week. And so, I think you embrace that. It's fun to get to play against quality opponents. It's fun to play in big games and in big environments. And so, you just kind of rise to the occasion and handle that way. And really, especially early in the season, again, we're focused on us. And our job right now is to get better every week. And so we did a lot of things well in the Jamboree, but we need to improve. And our job is to play better this week than we did last week.
Specifically talking about Brandon's run game, so explosive with the run game. That's the best part of their offense for sure. So what's it going to take from the defense specifically to stop them from running the ball?
Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest things about being good in the run defense is doing your responsibility. So when you build a defensive scheme, you are building a scheme to be gap sound. You have to account for each gap in the run game, and everybody has to do their part in that. And so Sometimes when you have a breakdown in run defense, it's somebody trying to do something that's not their job, right? So they're trying to make a play that's not theirs to make, and they get out of position, and it leaves a gap exposed, and you get hurt in the run game. I think the other big key is we have to tackle well, and they have, like you mentioned, two really talented backs, and so those guys are challenging. They're good with the ball in their hands, but we have to tackle well.
And then the run game was a huge part of the Chargers' success last year with guys like Omar Howell and Roman Gregory. And so how important is it to get the run game going again this year?
Yeah, I think it's huge, and I think our goal every year is to be balanced on offense, and the way we define balance is not being like 50-50 in yards or something like that. We just define that as we can run the ball when we want to and we can throw it when we want to. And so, last week, Desoto Central played a lot of heavy run boxes, 7-man box, a lot of man coverage on the outside, kind of one-on-one scenarios for our receivers, and I thought our offense did a great job of taking advantage of that. And so when people want to challenge us in that way, we have to be able to respond by throwing the football. When people want to challenge us by trying to take away some of that passing game, we got to be able to respond by running the ball well. And so, just continuing to build that balance, I think will be huge for us.
So Brandon played in Jamboree last week as well, tying West Point 13-13. Last week, West Point runs sort of like a triple option type offense. Brandon was forced to put about 6 men on the line most of the night. So when you were watching film, knowing that they have a lot different offense than us, what did you learn from that? What did you gain from that?
Well, that is one of the unique things about high school football is there's so many different styles of offense. When you watch, if you watch the SEC, everybody's really pretty similar. You watch the NFL, everybody's pretty similar. In high school football, there's a lot of variety. And so when you play a team who, like you said, West Point schematically is very different from us, so you're evaluating personnel, right? So you're evaluating what individual players can do well and not do well. But you also, we're familiar with Brandon. They have the same defensive coordinator. We played them a year ago. We also had got to watch their spring game against Laurel. So we had, a couple of different things to look at as far as scheme goes. But, like you said, when you're watching somebody that's very different than us, I think you're really focused on personnel at that point.
And then although last week was practically a perfect game on paper, what improvements do you hope to see this week versus Brandon?
Well, offensively, too many tackles for loss. That's kind of one of the things we talked about. If you looked at the drives that stalled out for us offensively, we had a negative play that put us behind the chains, and it's hard to sustain a drive when you do that. So we've got to eliminate that. Defensively, early on we had a little miscue in our pass defense and gave up a long touchdown, but for the most part, pretty solid night there. But always things to improve on. We had a few alignment issues, a few little issues that will get corrected. And then, we thought our kickoff coverage unit and special teams got better as the game went on. Okay, we had some great coverage, but at some points, but early on especially, we thought it wasn't quite what we'd like it to be there. So that was something we've tried to fix.
Going into this game, a lot of people are counting the Chargers out. A lot of people have Brandon winning the football game. Do you guys use that as a coach? Do you tell your players to kind of use that to motivate you, or do you kind of block out the noise and just go out there and play?
Yeah, I honestly don't really pay a lot of attention to that kind of stuff. Our job is to focus on us, and if we play as well as we're capable of playing, then I think we're going to like where we end up at the end of the night and at the end of the season. And if we can continue to improve every opportunity we get, that's really all we have control over.
Coach, we want to give you a huge thanks for being on with us.
Thank you.
This podcast is sponsored by Neilsons. Neilsons, where trends meet tradition.
I'm here with Oxford running back Roman Gregory and Oxford defensive back Ryan Kirkwood. We're going to ask a few questions about the Brandon game this week. Oxford traveling to Brandon this week after a Jamboree win 48-14 over the Desoto Central Jaguars, in which the offense looked very explosive and the defense did a lot of good things as well. All right, first question, I'm going to go to Kirkwood. So let's talk about Brandon. Offensively, Brandon is very explosive. They're returning 8 starters from last year, including junior quarterback Landon Varnes. They have the deepest running back room probably in the state. And Nate Blunt, Quincy Phillips, the MRA transfer, and Jarvis Durr. Blunt and Durr combined for over 2,500 yards last year and 33 touchdowns. Wide receiver Lester Miller is committed to play at Akron. He had a great year. Ryan, what is it going to take from you personally and the rest of the defensive unit to slow them down?
First off, I say we have to stop the run. The run is going to be a big part of that game. And with the quarterback and receiver duo, I just believe we continue to get pressure on them. We'll be able to slow them down.
All right, so let's talk about their jamboree last week. They tied West Point 13-13. Did a really good job running the football. West Point runs sort of triple option type offense. Roman, I'm asking you a question. They rush a lot. They can do a lot of different defensive schemes. So we saw a glimpse of how explosive our offense can be in the jamboree. What is the key to continuing to stay so good offensively?
I think personally it's just, keep the tempo up. I think if we just go as fast as we can, I don't think they'll be able to keep up. And just playing with confidence. I think if everybody just, has confidence, go out there and do what they need to do, I think we'll play like we played last week.
For both of y'all, what does it mean to be voted a captain of this team by your teammates?
Man, it's awesome, man. It's just, you got all those guys that look up to you and they see you as a leader. I think it's pretty awesome.
I agree with Roman. It is pretty awesome just to know that your peers think that you're a leader and they following in behind you. It's pretty good, pretty awesome.
Going off of what y'all just said, so we talked to Cash and Lucen last week about this senior class and the leadership they provided. What do you guys think about the leadership and bond of this senior class, and how has the rest of the team kind of adapted to y'all?
We've been playing together since we were little. Most of us, buck ball, middle school, we just all had just a big connection since we were smaller. So I think that plays a really big part.
I think it's just, family, play for each other. I think it's just a very close bond we got on the team.
What change do you make running behind this year's offensive line compared to last year's?
Last year we lost a good bit of guys. We lost Stratton, we lost Bryce, and they were a big, huge part of that O-line. But we got some guys coming back, Jamel and Henry, and they've been leading this group of guys that have been pretty well. And, Jack Harper does a pretty good job blocking as well. So.
And then, Ryan, what was going through your mind during that scoop and score you had against Desoto Central on Friday?
It was just an amazing feeling. Murrah, I had an opportunity to do the exact same thing, and I messed that up. So it was really just a deja vu moment. I just picked it up, saw the end zone, and just ran as fast as I could.
Gotta be a good feeling. All right, Ron, let's talk about your touchdown. Nice little screen pass for about 30 yards. How'd that feel to get the first one down for the year?
Well, it's just, just really another touchdown, man. It's just, it was a great play call,
So going into this game as underdogs, nobody's expecting y'all to win this. You look it up, everybody's got Brandon. I mean, I haven't seen anybody have an option to win. Do you guys use that to motivate you, or is you just kind of try and block it out and just go out there and play?
We're using that as motivation. Everybody always doubts Oxford. Everybody thinks that, we can't do it. But, we got confidence, some people say we're going 5-5 this year, and it's just bizarre to think that. But we know we love being doubted. We love it.
I say for me, it's a little bit of both. Yeah, I use it as motivation, but it's also you gotta block out that type of noise. You block it out, and like Roman said, 5-5. That's just something you just gotta keep it on your mind and play with like a chip on your shoulder.
On a bus ride like that, what do you sort of do to keep your mind right?
Me personally, I just take a nice little nap, listen to some young boy on the way there.
Same thing what Roman said. Just take a nice little nap, play a little. I don't listen to Young Boy right off the bat, but I play a little bit of soothing music. It's not quite game time yet, so I listen to usually like Ride Wave, something relaxing. But then by the time we get there, it's Young Boy from that point on.
And then do y'all do anything before a game, like any pregame superstitions?
That's a good question.
I keep my pregame routine the same. I'm more of a chill, laid-back person when it comes to pregame. Just stay off my feet, sit in front of my locker, just chill and relax.
I don't really think I have a pregame ritual. I'm just in there, just chilling, getting ready to play, honestly.
All right, let's talk about the schedule. So last year the schedule, a lot of away games, a lot more away games than home games. Is that an advantage for you guys, you think?
It's a big advantage, Playing at home is really huge. We got one of the best student sections in the state. I think playing at home is going to be a real big advantage this year.
Yeah, playing at home is always an advantage. When you have the student section there, the band going, just the crowd, the atmosphere, being able to play at Bobby Block is just something. It's just something. A good feeling. It's just a good feeling.
So when you guys look through the schedule, What game are you guys looking forward to most? Which one are y'all circling on the schedule that you're really just looking forward to?
I'm on this schedule. I'm looking forward to the first one. Brandon, me personally, because it's just number one team in the state, and they're getting all this hype. And that's just a game that I got circled on my calendar, and it's a big game just because it's the next game.
Yeah, I take every game. Every game week by week. But games I'm looking forward to, Lafayette and Starkville and Madison Central, just because Madison Central was the team that put us out the playoffs last year. So I'm looking forward to them.
And Lafayette beat us a year ago, so some revenge. Okay, let's talk about Mac. So we asked Cash and Lucian last week. Mac came in, and they said he was an immediate leader. Would y'all agree with that?
Totally. Matt came in and did what the right thing was. He led everybody. He's been a great teammate, been a great player as well, and we're glad to have him on our team.
Yeah, even though I'm on the defensive side of the ball, when he came in, you could just tell he just put that offense on his back, and the whole offense just changed. Offense was just upbeat, way more upbeat than it was last year. So yeah.
And I imagine that makes y'all better as a defense going against somebody that good every day.
It does.
Even Roman, the whole offense is just loaded. A lot of explosive up there.
Do y'all have a go-to pregame meal?
My go-to, that's probably chicken spaghetti, man. That's my go-to.
Yeah, go-to would be chicken spaghetti. It's always there. It's just always there.
All right, Ryan. So you're a defensive back. Let's talk about that position group. Who have you seen that's a young guy that's kind of stepped up in that position, and even some guys that are seniors as well that have really stepped up there?
A young guy, I would say, in my opinion, that stepped up as a defensive back. J-Rock and I'll say Jay Justin. Ken Herron, too. Ken Herron, he came in. He had a lot of weight that he had to carry, being a young guy coming up, filling in the spot. So I say him. And a senior that has really stepped up as a defensive back, I would say Tyree Young. He has improved a lot.
All right, Roman, let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. Let's talk about the receivers. I know you're not a receiver, but what have you seen from that group that has impressed you so far?
The receivers, they've worked really, really hard this offseason, and I think we have one of the best receiving corps in the state, with Cash and Ashton and all those guys out there. They've been doing a great job, practicing very well, practicing hard, and doing what they need to do.
So let's talk about last year's team compared to this one. Offensively, defensively, scheme-wise, players. What do y'all think is the difference from last year's team compared to this one?
I think compared to last year's team, we got a lot of talent, but also a lot of young guys, stepping up and having to play. But I think offensively, last year, we didn't go as fast as we're going now, and I think that's a huge difference, So us going fast on offense, that's a really big difference from what we had last year.
I say we're just more sound everywhere. We don't really have a weakness. We're fast everywhere, strong everywhere. Yeah, we really don't have any type of weakness.
What's y'all's most memorable play so far of y'all's high school career?
Or game?
Most memorable play? I'd say probably Starkville. Me personally, that was a really big game for me. My most memorable play was probably the punt return that I had. That was pretty awesome.
I have two. One's bad, one's good. My bad one would have to be Lafayette when I dropped that punt. That changed the whole momentum of the game. But I'd say my biggest game would probably be South Panola from last year during the playoffs first round. That was just a big game. Stepped up, did a lot of good things that game.
So let's talk about the Brandon game again. What do y'all think's the key to winning the game offensively first, Roman?
I think just playing 4 quarters of great football. You can play 48 minutes, and I think if we do that, we'll most definitely win the game.
Yeah, same thing with Roman. 48 minutes of hard-nosed football. Having to shut down, like you said, them 3 running backs, that whole offense is pretty good. So we're able to slow them down, get out the field in 3 plays, get the offense chances to go down there and score. That's going to be one big thing.
Best restaurant in Oxford right now?
Best restaurant? Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to go with Coop.
Yeah, you can't miss with Southern Coop. You really can't, just Southern Coop.
All right, what's y'all's favorite uniform combo? You get to pick the uniforms for a home game, and then you get to pick one for an away game. Give me a home game first, and away game second. What's y'all's favorite combo?
Home game, that's a tough one. The the last game was pretty good. Blue gold wasn't bad, but I'd say I like the all blue for home games.
All blue.
Home games, I would have to go with black. Black's just right with me. So blue, black. I love blue, black.
I'm gonna go away game. I'm gonna go white, black. And go with that one.
Yeah, Roman. I'm going Roman on that. White, black that's pretty hard.
All right.
I just want to thank you all for coming on the show, and we hope to have you all back.
Well, thank y'all for having us.
Yeah, thank y'all for having us.
Thank you for tuning in to Cross the Line. Listen in next week for our next episode.